Kamala Harris. The very name sparks debate, but one thing is undeniable: her growing popularity, especially among young voters.
Harris's journey is remarkable. The daughter of immigrants, she embodies the American dream. Her rise to the second highest office in the land resonates with young people, particularly those from diverse backgrounds.
It's her policies. From climate change to social justice, Harris champions the issues that matter most to this generation.
Her energy, her passion, and her unwavering commitment to progress have captivated a generation hungry for change.
For years, the Republican Party has struggled to connect with young voters. The party's stance on issues like climate change, social justice, and economic inequality has alienated many young people.
Harris's popularity among young voters presents a real threat to the Republican Party's future. As more young people reach voting age, the GOP can no longer afford to ignore their concerns.
The Republican Party is facing a dilemma. To appeal to young voters, they need to modernize their platform and embrace policies that address the concerns of this generation.
The rise of Kamala Harris has brought this issue to the forefront. Her popularity among young people is a stark reminder that the Republican Party can no longer afford to ignore the changing demographics of the electorate.
The youth vote is not just about the next election cycle, it's about the future of American politics. Young people today are more diverse, more connected, and more politically engaged than previous generations.
Their voices matter, their votes matter, and the party that can connect with them will shape the direction of the country for decades to come.
The stakes are high, and the GOP knows it. They are witnessing the future of their party slipping away, one young voter at a time.
The youth vote will play a pivotal role in shaping the future of American politics.
Kamala Harris's ability to connect with young voters goes beyond her age or her position on any single issue. It's about something deeper, something more fundamental.
In a world grappling with the climate crisis, Harris's commitment to environmental justice resonates deeply with young people.
Furthermore, her advocacy for social justice and equality speaks to the lived experiences of many young people.
This isn't just about policy positions, it's about values. Harris embodies a sense of empathy, compassion, and a commitment to creating a more just and equitable society.
Her willingness to address these issues head-on makes her a powerful voice for change.
Values that resonate deeply with a generation that has grown up witnessing increasing polarization and division.
Section 2, Beyond Demographics, Policy Positions that Resonate.
While Harris's personal story and leadership style contribute to her appeal, it's her stance on key policy issues that truly galvanizes young voters.
Her support for tuition-free college and student loan forgiveness programs speaks directly to the financial struggles of a generation.
Similarly, her commitment to expanding access to affordable healthcare resonates with young voters.
The COVID-19 pandemic further exposed these vulnerabilities, making healthcare a top-tier issue.
These policy positions reflect a deep understanding of the challenges facing young Americans.
They create a more equitable and just society for all.
Harris's platform addresses the immediate concerns facing millennials and Gen Z.
Section 3, The Obama Factor, A Legacy of Youth Engagement.
It's impossible to discuss youth engagement in politics without acknowledging the impact of former President Barack Obama.
Harris, often compared to Obama for her ability to inspire and mobilize young people, benefits from this legacy.
This isn't just about nostalgia, it's about the enduring power of hope and the belief in the possibility of progress.
The Obama years demonstrated that young people, when engaged and mobilized, can be a powerful force for change.
Harris seems poised to tap into that same energy.
Channeling the aspirations of a generation eager to shape the future of their country.
Harris represents that sense of hope for many young people.
Section 4, A New Kind of Leader, Authenticity in the Age of Social Media.
Kamala Harris's appeal to young voters extends beyond her policy positions. It's also about her communication style.
Whether it's participating in viral TikTok trends or using humor and pop culture references, Harris demonstrates an understanding of how to reach young audiences.
This approach breaks down traditional barriers, making her appear more accessible and relatable.
This authenticity translates to a sense of trust and connection.
In a world saturated with carefully curated online personas, Harris's willingness to be herself resonates with a generation that values authenticity.
This approach is not without its critics.
However, for many young voters, This ability to connect on a personal level makes her message all the more powerful.
Generation poll the numbers behind the hype. The buzz surrounding Kamala Harris's popularity with young voters isn't just anecdotal, it's backed by hard data.
A name of a reliable polling organization poll found that Harris had a percentage approval rating among voters aged 18 to 29.
This trend suggests a fundamental shift in the political landscape.
This stark generational divide underscores the challenge facing the Republican Party.
Recent elections have seen a surge in youth participation.
This increased engagement, coupled with Harris' popularity, could prove decisive in future elections.
Young voters are increasingly disillusioned with the status quo and are looking for leaders who represent their values. Beyond the Beltway, the youth vote in state and local elections. The impact of the youth vote extends far beyond national elections.
From school board races to mayoral elections, young people are showing up to vote in record numbers.
This surge in youth engagement at the local level is transforming the political landscape.
This trend is particularly pronounced in urban areas and college towns.
This surge in youth participation at the local level has significant implications for national politics.
The Republican Party, slow to adapt to this changing electorate, risks being left behind.
Unless the party can find a way to connect with younger, more diverse voters, it faces an uncertain future. A generational divide, analyzing the data across demographics. The generational divide in support for Kamala Harris is even more pronounced when considering factors beyond age.
According to a name of a reliable polling organization poll, Harris has a percentage approval rating among black voters aged 18 to 29.
This disparity highlights the importance of representation in politics.
Harris's popularity among young voters of color is driven by a variety of factors.
Her lived experiences give her a unique understanding of the challenges facing marginalized communities.
This generational and demographic shift in the electorate has significant implications for the future of American politics.
Kamala Harris's popularity among young voters suggests that the Democratic Party may be better positioned to navigate this changing landscape.
The rising tide of youth support for figures like Kamala Harris has sent tremors through the Republican Party.
Young voters are looking for leaders who not only acknowledge these challenges but offer bold solutions.
The Republican Party, often perceived as resistant to change, faces an uphill battle in winning over this increasingly influential demographic.
This disconnect is particularly evident on issues like climate change.
Similarly, the party's stance on social issues often clashes with the inclusive values of a generation that embraces diversity.
The Republican Party's struggle to connect with young voters isn't simply a messaging problem, it's an existential crisis.
If the GOP hopes to remain a viable political force, it must confront this generational gap head-on.
Ignoring the concerns of young voters is a recipe for long-term irrelevance.
The Republican Party faces a stark choice: adapt to the changing demographics or risk becoming a relic. Attracting young voters requires more than just tweaking talking points.
Highlighting conservative principles like individual liberty and free markets can resonate with younger generations. These principles need to address concerns like student debt and affordable housing.
Emphasizing fiscal responsibility and limited government can be pathways to economic opportunity.
Acknowledging issues like climate change and social justice is crucial.
The Republican Party's struggle to connect with young voters is not just a theoretical concern, it has real-world electoral consequences. As millennials and Gen Z voters come of age, their growing numbers and increasing political engagement have the potential to reshape the political landscape for decades to come.
The GOP's traditional base of older white voters is shrinking, while the electorate is becoming increasingly diverse and younger. This demographic shift, coupled with the growing partisan divide in the country, means that the Republican Party can no longer rely on its traditional strongholds to win elections.
If the GOP fails to adapt to this changing electorate, it faces a future of shrinking margins of victory, lost elections, and diminishing influence. The party's inability to connect with young voters could relegate it to a permanent minority status, unable to enact its agenda or effectively govern.
The stakes for the Republican Party are high. The party must decide whether it will cling to the policies and rhetoric of the past or embrace a more inclusive and forward-looking vision that resonates with the next generation of voters. The future of the GOP may depend on its ability to make this crucial choice. GOP Voices, a chorus of concern and criticism. Kamala Harris's popularity among young voters has alarmed Republican leaders, reflecting unease within the party. From seasoned strategists to rising stars, a chorus of concern and criticism has emerged.
Senator name. We can't bury our heads in the sand. Young people are flocking to Harris, and we're not giving them much reason to consider our side. His words highlight the urgency to address the GOP's youth outreach problem.
Political strategists weigh in, navigating the generational divide. Beyond the pronouncements of elected officials, Republican strategists and political observers offer a more nuanced perspective on the party's youth outreach challenge. Many acknowledge the GOP's shortcomings in connecting with younger voters, attributing it to a combination of messaging failures, policy mismatches, and a broader cultural disconnect.
Veteran Republican strategist, name of a respected Republican strategist, known for his work on numerous successful campaigns, observed, "The Republican Party has become too focused on appealing to its base and has lost sight of the need to persuade and attract new voters. Young people don't see themselves reflected in the party's message or its priorities."
Others point to the GOP's close association with former President Donald Trump, whose divisive rhetoric and policies alienated many young voters. Political analyst, name of a well-known political analyst, writing for name of a reputable publication, argued the Trump era cast a long shadow over the Republican Party, making it toxic for many young voters who reject his brand of politics.
These insights highlight the challenges facing the GOP as it seeks to regain its footing among younger generations. Bridging the generational divide will require more than just cosmetic changes or superficial attempts at rebranding. It demands a genuine effort to understand and address the concerns of young voters, even if it means challenging long-held party orthodoxies.
A deeper look at GOP strategies. The GOP is grappling with how to counter Kamala Harris's influence and regain young voters. Efforts range from targeted outreach to reframing the party's image.
Investing in digital outreach aims to reach young voters. The GOP is ramping up efforts to engage young voters on social media, recruiting younger, diverse candidates to connect with changing demographics.
Whether these efforts will be successful remains to be seen. Generational shifts, a look back at youth voting patterns. Understanding the fervor surrounding Kamala Harris among young voters requires delving into the historical ebb and flow of youth participation. Contrary to the stereotype of political apathy, history reveals periods of intense engagement and cycles of disillusionment.
The 1960s and 1970s saw a surge in youth activism driven by the civil rights movement and the Vietnam War. Young people became a potent political force, shaping national conversations on war, social justice, and environmental protection. The following decade saw a decline in youth voter turnout, reaching historic lows in the 1980s and 1990s.
The 21st century witnessed a resurgence of youth political engagement, fueled by the internet and social media. As the country grapples with issues like climate change, economic inequality, and social justice, young people are increasingly looking for leaders who offer bold solutions and a vision for a more equitable and just future. Their engagement in the political process, whether through voting, activism, or online organizing, has the potential to reshape the political landscape and influence the direction of the country for generations to come. Since then, the youth vote has emerged as a critical force in American politics, often viewed as a coveted prize by both parties. The sheer size of the millennial and Gen Z generations, coupled with their increasing political awareness and activism, means that their voting patterns have the potential to shape electoral outcomes for decades to come. Kamala Harris's popularity among young voters, viewed within this historical context, represents more than just a passing fad or a celebrity-driven phenomenon. It reflects a deeper trend of young people seeking out leaders who align with their values, priorities, and lived experiences. Section 2, From the Margins to the Mainstream, the Evolving Impact of the Youth Vote. The election of Barack Obama in 2008 marked a turning point in youth political engagement, with young voters, particularly young people of color, playing a pivotal role in his historic victory. Obama's message of hope and change, amplified through innovative digital campaigns, resonated deeply with a generation yearning for a break from the status quo. The future of American politics. The political landscape of America is undergoing a seismic shift. A new generation has found its voice, demanding to be heard. Kamala Harris's resonance with young voters is a testament to this awakening.
Issues like climate change, social justice, and economic inequality are shaping their future. Their demand for authenticity and digital activism are redefining political engagement.
The Republican Party faces a choice: adapt or fade into irrelevance.
The future of American politics hinges on this generational reckoning.